What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What's good, y'all? Back with another one from the legend, the man, the myth, the legend. Excuse me, I had to address him appropriately. SKAP Attack. SKAP Attack out here, always putting the truth out in these NBA airwaves. So go check his channel out, all right? I saw he put out a video called The Worst Era in NBA History. And if he's alluding to the current era of the NBA, you know, the last 8 to 10 years, I probably can't disagree with him. This era, and I've been watching since the 90s, and I've done my research on the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and what the league or leagues were like. And the atmosphere and the stories. This is by far the most watered down era, yet seems to be the most hyped era, at least to the casuals and the millennials and on forward. But a lot of these guys are praising this current league so hard. And I still love basketball. I still love the league. But it's not touching the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. Hell no. Hell no. But anyway, let's get into it. Hold on. Before we get into it. And then you got the whole thing with the making up the rule changes, how they have altered the game to make it easier to score. Thus, statistics and stats for players and teams are inflated so they can put out a more appeasing product to the casual fans out there. You know, all this stuff contributes to what you see today and how the people hype it up today. And now you got a play-in tournament where you could be an absolutely horrific team with a record that's under 500 and still make the playoffs. A play-in tournament. And then you got the in-season tournament. Now you're getting a quote-unquote tournament championship trophy and an MVP. And they even created a in-season tournament All-NBA team, I found out, to try to boost these guys' accolades and careers up, to give them ammunition against prior errors when you really can't compare the two because there was no in-season tournament. And now they're trying to weigh an in-season tournament, a tournament that started at the beginning of the season, which starts at the end of October, and the tournament ended midway through December. We're not even to the halfway point of the season. A lot of these teams haven't even hit their stride. There's still a trade deadline. And y'all are weighing this, one-game elimination tournament the same as a championship? Y'all just trolls. And if y'all believe that, y'all just idiots. So take your pick. You're either a troll or an idiot if you're saying that. It's crazy, man. All right, let's get into it.
Well, the embarrassing sham of the NBA in-season tournament continues to progress through the rigged stages of pool play and the quarterfinals in what has amounted to a desperate and obvious attempt for Commissioner Dumbo to add one more meaningless accolade to their golden goose cash cow's resume. Before that is, he predictably melts down in the most hilarious ways imaginable when the only tournament that actually matters kicks off later this summer. But the in-season tournament has also highlighted another element of the current NBA, as the league offices are being heralded around various social media forums by teenagers as a way to add intrigue to the regular season, aka coerce the players to actually care about the regular season.
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up. Thanks, SKAP. What prior era of the NBA do you know of that you had to persuade people to put on their work boots, love the game, and go play because the fans are paying their hard-earned money? This era, you got to do that, man. These guys get a paycheck and they don't want to play. They want to rest. They want to fake injuries. They don't want to give it their all. So you got to create a tournament with large sums of money and accolades to get people to start playing in the season? Come on, man.
But what if I were to tell you that there was a time when players just did care about the regular season?
What?
I know, crazy, right? And it's called every era but this one. And salaries continue to soar to unimaginable heights amid an era where many of the players can't even be bothered to play 60-something games. With load management and player empowerment now a fixture in a game where the majority of its pampered stars care more about personal celebrity and their social media brands than actually being bothered to compete. Is it any wonder those of us who were around before this current abomination still cling to the past generations? It's because, yes, they were better. And this isn't some hot take. It's not some crotchety old guy sitting on his porch yelling at the neighborhood kids to get off his lawn.
What the hell is this?
Nah, it ain't that, kids and sycophantic hype men in the media. Anyone that watched the products in past eras compared to this one cannot deny that the general level of effort, intensity, and desire to win was substantially higher in previous years. Oh, I know, but it's a trade-off, as this current era has advanced super athletes versus the plumbers that populated past generations.
Oh, well, he was being guarded by plumbers and firemen.
Yeah, because it's not like a 6'2", 185-pound jump shooter who could barely dunk a basketball didn't dominate large stretches of this current era. Oh wait, he did. This is Oscar Robertson, by the way, and he was drafted over 60 years ago. Let's further not pretend like Nikola Jokic isn't absolutely lighting this era on fire at the moment. Coming freshly off of back-to-back league MVPs, which likely should have been 3 straight, before destroying the entire field of playoff contenders a year ago, en route to a championship where he became the first player ever to lead an entire postseason in points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, this guy is destroying this era at an absolute historic rate. A year after that aforementioned playoff run, where he led the league in points, rebounds, and assists, he's top 3 in all 3 of those categories a quarter of the way through this regular season. And all of that as he is lapping the field in every advanced metric. So why was this guy selected 60th in his own draft during a freaking Taco Bell commercial? Oh, because his major weakness was none other than athleticism. This is Michael Jordan, by the way, and he was drafted 40 years ago. But if this current crop of players has been proving anything, it's that these advanced super athletes don't fare as well as you would think. Because, as is typically the case, as evidenced by this generation's poster child, things are generally lacking between the ears. Today, we often hear about talent, athleticism, and the physical gifts of players now as compared to players in past generations. While this premise of the alpha and killer mentality is routinely dismissed as old head speculation or nostalgia for other eras. But it isn't. And while it is not quantifiable, it is tangible. And there are some remnant throwbacks surfacing in this current generation of players. Is it any wonder then? Easily and by far, the 2 best players are Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, because they actually care about winning and competing and doing it the right way, not leapfrogging from one super team to the next the minute they experience the slightest hint of adversity or setbacks. In an era of pampered social media stars, likely the ones that actually care about winning will do most of it. And as for the shallow spectacle that has become statistics these days, well, perhaps that is a topic saved best for another day. But suffice it to say, it is the pinnacle of laziness to grab some out-of-context stats or cherry-picked screen grabs to post them on X and bandy them about in some half-assed and pathetic comparison between today's players and other players who were unfortunate enough to play in an era where they actually play defense. Looking at the 20-year span from 1994 to 2014, NBA league-wide averages were just 97.5 points per game. Comparing that to the last 9 seasons from 2015 to present, league-wide averages have swelled to an even 110.0 during that span, and that is only continuing to rise with every passing year, hitting the mid-114s the last 2 seasons. Those are the highest league-wide scoring averages since the modern era of NBA basketball.
What?
Yes, you heard that right. The ABA and NBA merged in 1976 to create the modern era as we know it, and these last 2 seasons have been the highest annual league-wide scoring averages since the 1960 season. You know, the 60s, where all of the scoring and statistics produced throughout that decade are routinely downgraded and belittled. Why does this generation of player not get that same treatment? I mean, is it any wonder that 28-year-old prime LeBron James won a league MVP in 2012, averaging 26.8 points per game, and magically last year at the age of 38, averaged 28.9 points per game? It's not just the PEDs. I mean the meticulous care he takes of his body. No, it's because the league has been getting easier, significantly so, for the last 10 full years. Instead of adding these undeniable facts into the equation, we instead look at players' scoring and other statistical averages and try to elevate these players over those who played in much harder, low-scoring and slow-paced eras. But the reality is, comparing players' career averages or statistical accomplishments that played all or most of their careers during the 90s and early 2000s to that of players who have played a large part of their careers during the last decade is as pathetic as it is hilarious. And ultimately, the NBA product as a whole has been in the toilet the last decade or so.
It's garbage!
Where we go from here seems to be in the hands of a few seemingly capable ambassadors, but there is simply no denying that what we have seen since around the 2011 season has constituted the worst era in NBA history.
SKAP Attack, dropping dimes, dropping knowledge. Once again. And yeah, he's absolutely right. And that's one of the things I've said about LeBron James. For years now, I've said, well, normally you see players dip off statistically as they get older, but considering how the league is evolving and it's becoming easier to score, easier to pad your stats, the up-tempo, the more possessions, the lack of defense, the spacing, and the general size, all the small ball, it's going to be just easier for LeBron James to score even at an advanced age, even with his prime athleticism in the rearview mirror. Come on, man. What are we talking about? You could look at LeBron, just looking at the raw numbers, and in many stats, he's superior just by the numbers than when he was actually in his prime, say, Miami. But we all know that version of LeBron James is superior, far superior to the version we have now. But see, you LeBron James people always want to take up stats, always want to bring up stats when you try to belittle other players or rank LeBron James over them. Y'all always like to talk about the numbers. Well, I dare you to say, based on your numbers, that this version of LeBron James, this Laker version, is better than the Miami Heat version, where at the raw statistics are superior if you just look at the numbers. That's why I say, give them context. But LeBron James fans never want to apply context to anything unless it suits their argument. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They are the worst. You cannot have a debate. You cannot have an argument with these people. They will switch up their context and their arguments when it suits them best, when it favors LeBron James. I'm done ranting. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Salute to SKAP Attack, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. We out, baby.